Hello, America. Hello, America, my friends, my fellow patriots, my fellow Americans. This is yours truly, Professor Toto, also known as Pastor Shane Vaughn. I didn't even feel like getting dressed today, so you're seeing me in the raw in my office working quickly because the Feast of Tabernacles is a few days away and we're rushing to get to Alabama. Another shooting, another tragic shooting. I want to talk about it for just a minute. Just want to share my heart with you. See if you agree or disagree. An assassin, once again on the roof of a building, it looks like, high-powered rifle, begins shooting at an ice van. Now, we don't have all the facts yet, so I really can't speak to motive, but we all know the temperature over ice lately. So I believe one could assume that the gunman was shooting to kill the ICE agents that were driving the van. That's what we're going to assume. If I'm wrong about that, I'll come back and apologize, but that's my assumption at this point. Sadly, the bullets hit innocent immigrants, illegal immigrants, who are not bad people. They're just criminals. But they didn't deserve to die. That's for sure. And our hearts go out today sincerely to their families, their friends, at a tragic loss of life. I don't believe any ICE agents were killed. But I'm not here to report the news. I'm here to give you my insight, what goes on in my brain. After the death, after the shooting, it's all over the news that we need to tone down the rhetoric. And my response is this: no. Let's quit playing games. Let's just quit. Let's quit acting like the rhetoric is on both sides, because it's not. I challenge you to go find me one Republican that is advocating violence. One. Hopefully you can't find one. I'm not aware of one. And if you do, there's some fringe element. But I do remember when Biden was the usurper in chief. I do remember when Maxine Waters stood in front of the camera and told all Democrats to get in our faces. Don't even let us eat in a restaurant. Disturb us, torment us, she said, everywhere you find them being us. And so I'm reminded of Gavin Newsom a few days ago when he passed a law about ICE not wearing masks, law enforcement not wearing masks. He said that ICE is part of an authoritarian government. That was his words. Ladies and gentlemen, that's rhetoric. That is advocating violence. Think about it. You're subconsciously telling some weak-minded mental patient, which is why President Trump must bring back the insane asylums ASAP. I don't know what we're waiting on. If we're waiting on money, take it from Ukraine. I mean, whatever we're waiting on, my God, let me tell you something. When you look at the history of these killings, school killings, I believe the past 10 of them have all been transgender related. How much more evidence is it going to take that the moment someone says they're transgendered, put them in an institution. We have the proof. We have the recurring pattern, which turns into a law. Transgenderism is a mental disease. It is a mental problem. Put them in mental insane asylums. The minute a boy thinks he's a girl, institutionalize them. Help them. Protect them from that disease. Otherwise, what happens is, when they go out and commit crimes like this, they get arrested, and then the psychologists determine that, oh, they're mental. We're like, we could have told you that at their puberty when they started showing mental defects. But oh yeah, but now that they're mental, guess what? They can't be held accountable in a court of law, and therefore justice leaves the streets of America. There's no more justice. You cannot put a mentally, what's the new words for them? I'm so sorry. Hang tight. I'm trying to check my collective memory of what you call it now. You can't, I'm so sick of the world we live in. You can't even, people so offended at every little lowdown thing. But in mental, whatever word I'm looking for, when you see the first sign of it, get them help. Put them away. Institutionalize them until a boy recognizes he's a boy, a girl. Otherwise, you're releasing onto the streets of America insanity. And then they plea insanity, and we're like, oh, yeah, you're insane. Why couldn't you recognize they were insane at the first sign of insanity, which is transgenderism? We have an entire society that's gone berserk. They've lost their low-down minds. And that's why I truly believe with all my heart, truly, and speaking of rhetoric, MSNBC ran a news story 2 days ago about ICE, that they had detained a 5-year-old girl with autism, which turned out to be a total lie. But if you tell these lies long enough to mental, what's the word? Mental, you can't call them that no more. Mental dooley-dotties, mental dooley-dotties. You tell that long enough to little doodle-dotties, they think they're doing God a service. They're getting rid of an authoritarian government. They're getting rid of ICE that's detaining 5-year-old girls with autism. There's your rhetoric. Don't tell us we need to tone down our rhetoric. We don't have any rhetoric. Our rhetoric is truth. Your rhetoric is lies, provable lies. Absolutely provable lies. If you want to prove it, somebody said prove it, I'll be happy to. Go to my Substack. And if you're not subscribed to my Substack, you are really not among the most enlightened. Go to my Substack and subscribe free of charge. Look for Professor Toto at Substack and get my daily blog. And one of those daily blogs, I'm going to see if I can pull it up. So many masterpieces there that it's hard to choose one. But because truth is a masterpiece, not because I am, but because truth is. But I wrote a Substack. Let's see if there it is. It's called The Pattern. I wish I could share my screen with you. The Pattern. Uvalde, transgender. Denver, Colorado, transgender. Georgia, transgender. Nashville, transgender. Colorado, transgender. Aberdeen, transgender. Minnesota, transgender. Iowa, gender fluid. Philadelphia, transgendered. Do you see it? 9 or 10 mass killings, all from mental doula-daddies, doula-dollies, whatever you want to call them. Do you not see a pattern, America? I mean, it doesn't take rocket scientists. This is a mental disease. Put it away. And every time this happens, the media screams, it's about guns. It's about security. No, this is about a society sickened by the gospel of transgenderism. A culture that denies biology, they will deny morality. A culture that mutilates bodies will mutilate consciousness. A culture that tells children truth is fluid will one day reap rivers of innocent blood. And that's where we are today, my friend. And I'm going to tell you, by the way, you can get that truth every day in your email from Professor Toto. I'm going to tell you why I just don't know. I just released a blog yesterday about freedom of speech and freedom of guns in America. I'm going to be honest with you. I think we may be at a point where we can't handle those freedoms anymore. Was the great experiment doomed from the start? According to John Adams, it was. John Adams said plainly, one of those brilliant founding anointed fathers, he said our Constitution, this piece of paper, this Constitution, which every patriot should read, was created only for church people. That's what your founding father said. The Constitution was made only for people that fear Yahweh, the Almighty God. He said, if you find people that do not fear Yahweh, God, then our Constitution will not work for them. I'll give you the direct quote since I might be messing with some of your heads right now. He said our Constitution was made only for a religious people, and it is wholly inadequate to the government of any other. I just released a video on YouTube that every American patriot, I wish they would force you to watch it. It's on my YouTube, both YouTube channels, Professor Toto and Shane Vaughn, entitled Trump Takes the Wheel. It's also on my Substack. I just released it minutes ago. Trump Takes the Wheel. And everybody loves to call Trump a dictator, a strong man, a tyrant. But you see, here's the problem. Democracy, so-called, has failed. And we are at the breaking point where we are trying to govern a non-religious people with a document called the Constitution. And we now find ourselves in a quandary because it's impossible. You cannot govern a people that will not govern themselves. And therefore, the freedom of speech becomes the destruction of our great republic. The very freedom that the Constitution protects, it may be the very freedom that winds up destroying us. Let me explain why that is. The freedom of speech, we love to talk about it, but do we truly understand it? With the freedom of speech, there must also be the freedom of restraint. Now, that restraint is taught to us in Sabbath school classes. Growing up, little children being indoctrinated with the golden rule, indoctrinated with loving your neighbor as much as you love yourself. If you love your neighbor as much as you love yourself, The freedom of speech says you can say whatever you want to say. The government will not stop you. But the freedom of restraint says, should you say it? So freedom of speech cannot be what I can say, but rather what I should say and when I should say it. I'll give you a perfect example. Everyone thinks freedom of speech is to criticize the Israeli government right now. Oh, well, I've got freedom of speech. I can criticize a foreign government. You have freedom of speech in times of peace. In times of war, the freedom of restraint should tell you to shut up till the war's over and allow the firemen to put out the fire without you screaming, hey, you missed the spot, or you're not doing that right. Shut up. Freedom of speech can only work for people that have the freedom to restrain themselves and not condemn the firemen because you think they're putting out the fire wrong. They're trying to get people out of a hostage burning building. They're hostages in a burning building, and you're sitting there screaming at the firemen that is sworn to protect those people. Freedom of speech is going to be the destruction of America because you don't have freedom of restraint. Look, I've got the freedom to go tell the next woman that walks in front of me how ugly she is. I can go tell her that all day long. I've got freedom to do it. I have another freedom in me that's going to find something about that woman that is wonderful. I'm going to talk about how wonderful her perfume smells. You see, I have freedom of restraint. Therefore, I'm allowed freedom of speech. But we now have a bunch of kids, not even children, they're little goats, that have been given a freedom of speech with no freedom of restraint. And therefore, I predict that in America, we're about to be at the point where speech is going to have to be restrained. Do you know why? Because our Constitution is wholly inadequate any longer. The Constitution of the United States of America is at the point of wholly inadequate to these kids we have raised that's out shooting everybody. Freedom of expression. I'm expressing myself. No, you're expressing your stupidity, your selfishness, your satanic nature. Freedom of guns. Can we truly have it anymore? Can we truly have it anymore? Or have we become a nation that cannot control triggers? Of course we are, because we've got little transgender girls and boys with guns now, and because mom and daddy wants to affirm them instead of beat that deception out of their behinds. Our very freedoms may very well be our chains, ladies and gentlemen. I have watched people go into prison, into the prison system, when before they went into the prison system, they were animals. The minute they get in prison, they become chaplains. I'm for real. Telling you what I've seen with my very own eyes. They get behind bars, they start taking courses to better themselves, Bible study, things they would never have done on the outside. Suddenly, you can call and have a phone conversation with them. They can call you and you're talking to the real person. They develop structure, routine. They discover their faith, their philosophy that gives them meaning in life. Do you know why that is, my friend? Because unlimited freedom was their prison. The prison they're in now is their freedom. I'll say that again for those on the back row. Unlimited freedom was their prison. Without boundaries, without restraint. They were slaves to their impulses, slaves to their addictions, to their immediate gratifications. The external constraint of incarceration paradoxically freed them. Restraint always brings true freedom. But I'm not shocked. I'm not surprised. Because what we see happening in our world today did not begin in our world. It began inside the walls of the Holy Church that began to let down standards, begin to let down boundaries and get rid of all that legalism, the rules, so that we could be free falling. Yeah, that's about what you look like, free falling. Get rid of all the rules that the old timers set in place. After all, we want freedom to dress how we want to dress. That's why you kids wound up with pink hair. Get rid of all the rules, the restraints. Give us our freedom or give us death. No, we gave you your death when we gave you your unrestrained freedom. So it all started in the church of the living God. The church carries the blame for the world we live in today. Oh yes, compromise began in the church. We lost our voice of authority. We lost our voice of... I'm done. I didn't mean to say all this today. Anyway, I just wanted to share my heart today. Thanks for watching. Have a wonderful day, everybody. Yahweh bless you and keep you.